Welcome to Tales from the Long Box, where we journey deep into the long boxes, unearthing the classics, the hidden gems, and just plain strange issues of the comic universe. So grab a snack, settle in, and let's see what story I was able to dig up this time. So today, I want to talk about What If Thor Was Raised by Frost Giants #1. So I picked this issue because I'm a pretty big Thor fan, and after I read it, I thought it was really interesting, some of the things they did. So we see at the beginning, there is a narration from someone talking about Jotunheim, and talking about a large battle that is taking place there between the Asgardians and the Frost Giants. We see Odin come across Laufey, the King of Giants. They start to battle each other, and they fight for a long time. It says maybe even hundreds of years. I mean, they don't really specify, and still they are both evenly matched this entire time, so they're just going back and forth. That is until Odin misses a thrust and just gets wrecked by Laufey's hammer to the side, which we find out later in the issue is named Ice Crusher. So after Odin is defeated, they go to Asgard and defeat the rest of the Asgardians. They basically just ransack and destroy the whole place. There are only two people left, and those are Thor and his mother Freya. She stabs and kills one giant and yells, "You will not kill my son." We then see Laufey approach, and he tells her that he's not going to kill them. He is just going to continue to punish Odin, where it hurts him the most, his family. He then tells the other giants to take her away. Just then, a young Thor grabs a sword, and he tries to attack Laufey. But the king of the giants grabs Thor and commends him on his bravery, and then decides he will raise Thor as his own son, which is kind of like a slap in the face to Odin. We next see that Thor is in a cell in Jotunheim, and Loki sneaks in to see him. Loki is very kind to him and talks about how his father always mistreats him and gives him a hard time. He gives Thor his furs because Thor's cold, and he also hands him a badly carved wooden pendant that he made, and he tells Thor that even here he is not alone. A few years pass, and Laufey has taken Thor and Loki out with him on a hunt. Laufey tells them that a giant must learn to kill to protect his people, and that even if some giants die on this hunt, that those that do die would be unworthy anyways. Loki then shouts to his father that he has another way to take down the beast. And he tries to use some of his invisibility magic to trick the creature, but it doesn't really work. The creature smells him out, and he gets trapped by the beast. That's when Thor launches himself into the mouth of the creature and uses lightning to kill it from the inside. There's just like a huge lightning blast. It's pretty rad. And afterwards, just like claws him way out, it's covered in all kinds of gore. It's pretty great. Laufey tells Thor that he shouldn't have saved Loki and that he should have just let him die. But at the same time, he also tells him that one day Thor himself might be worthy of wielding the Ice Crusher. This, excites Thor. He's excited. He's jubilant that this father figure that he's had now is showing interest in him. This just makes Loki even more humiliated and sad. So after this hunt, we see that Loki is wandering his father's dungeons. He hears a voice call out to him. It turns out that this is Thor's mother, Freya. She's still imprisoned after all these years. Loki kind of begins confiding in her and growing close to her because she's basically the only person around that even cares about him. All the other frost giants just treat him like crap. They're horrible. Years go by, and it shows that he's been sneaking to see her when he can, and she was teaching him magic, and he also used that magic to steal her food. So they've built this relationship together, and Loki has kind of taken her on as his own mother. However, he does not tell her that her son is still alive. He keeps that to himself, kind of like he wants to keep her to himself, I think. She tells him of Midgard and where there are no giants or Asgardians, and Loki thinks it sounds awesome. He thinks it's great. He's like, yeah, I want to go. So he asks her if she was able to escape, that she would be able to rebuild the Bifrost and take him to Midgard. And she basically just warns him, don't talk that way, because if your father hears you, he's gonna basically kill you. So then the story switches to the throne room, where Thor is there with Laufey and this other frost giant, Grimnir, who we've seen earlier in the story just a little bit. Laufey tells Thor that Grimnir has been whispering a bunch of doubts about Thor's claim to the throne, which means that he doubts Laufey's judgment, and that Thor must defend his own honor and his father's by killing him. Thor is kind of resistant at first, but once Laufey tells him, he just attacks him. Thor punches Grimir in the knee, and he just collapses his knee backwards. It's pretty nuts. And Grimir just falls to the floor. Laufey then hands down Ice Crusher and tells Thor it is time to earn the right to own it. Grimir's still laying there, says to Thor that he does not deserve the honor, and Thor replies to him, maybe not, I will strive to earn that honor. And then he just smashes Ice Crusher down onto Grimir's chest, killing him. One thing I do find really interesting is as soon as Thor is handed Ice Crusher, we can see that his hands and his forearms start to turn blue like the frost giants. Almost like this is finally turning over to become more like his captors. So later on, Thor is then sitting in the throne room alone when Loki approaches. And Thor is still really friendly towards Loki and acting like a brother to Loki. He's just like, hey, he gives him a hug, all that stuff. And then he also tells Loki that Laufey wants them both by his side as he goes to war against Muspelheim, realm of Suder. So it is this information that basically convinces Loki that he doesn't want to go to war for his father. He's like, that guy never cared for me. Why do I want to go do that? Like, why do I want to go kill myself for this guy? He doesn't say any of this to Thor. He keeps it quiet to himself. But this is when he decides that he is going to use his magic to help Freya escape. And that's what he does. He basically uses this magic on the guards and helps her escape to Asgard so that they can rebuild the Bifrost and that they can go to Midgard. So then we are shown Asgard, and at this time it has been completely destroyed by the frost giants, and it's basically just ruins right now. And we also see at this point that Laufey has come here because he found out about Loki, and he tells Thor that they have enemies closer to home than Asgard. And this is like one of the coolest parts. Like, you see them walking down the street talking to each other. Laufey basically asks Thor if this place has any pull for him, if it still affects him at all emotionally. And right as Thor's telling him no, we get to see a frozen and abandoned Mjolnir just laying there. And it really represents how Thor's turned his back on his Asgardian heritage. And it's just really interesting to see that that's just laying there. And then he's giving it up. Thor tells Laufey that he is now a son of Jotunheim, and that this place holds nothing for him anymore. We also see that Thor is completely blue at this point. Like, he has completely given up who he was. They soon come across both Freya and Loki. Freya is casting her magic, repairing the Bifrost, and just as it's done and about ready to use it to escape, Laufey grabs Loki, and Thor at this point is like, have mercy for your own son. Laufey denounces Loki and calls him an abomination, and he asks Loki if he thought he could trick him. Loki then conjures a dagger while Laufey is busy talking and stabs him in the eye and slits his throat. So I guess Loki could trick him. I mean, this, however, really pisses Thor off because he sees his adoptive father die. He becomes enraged and he attacks Loki. He knocks him back, and then he releases an ice blast against Loki from Icebreaker. But at the last second, Freya pushes Loki out of the way and takes the full power of the blast. She is frozen instantly, then she shatters into pieces in Loki's arms. It isn't until Loki tells Thor that he realizes that he has killed his own mother. He then realizes that Loki has kept it a secret this whole time, that he knew that his mother was alive. And this makes him even more angry. Basically, they start to fight to the death. They continue to fight, and Loki gets in a few hits here and there. Thor gets his in too. But eventually, Thor knocks Loki to the ground, and he's standing over him, about to just swing down the final blow. Loki pleads with him and asks him, why couldn't you all just let me go? I just wanted my own path. That's when Thor brings down the hammer, but it's next to Loki instead of on top of him. Thor then just says one word, leave. As Loki is turning to go to Midgard, he tries to convince Thor to come with him, that they could leave all the giants and asgardians and all that behind and have their own lives. Thor refuses and says that his people need him to help lead and defend them. He tells Loki that he has found his place and that Loki should find his. Loki leaves and Thor falls to his knees, and lightning rains down as he mourns the loss of his mother, a father, and his brother all in the same day. The narrator reveals that this was the last time that Loki and Thor saw each other. Finally, we see a man sitting in a hut who has been telling this whole story to his children. He is the narrator, and he's been telling them a story about Thor and Loki. And they get really excited when they're hearing about it, and they ask if they will ever see Thor. And Loki's kind of like, that probably wouldn't be the best thing for Midgard. He's the He's the king of the frost giants right now. That's not a good thing if he's on Midgard. He then gets in trouble by his wife for filling his kids with all these nonsense stories and is told to go get more firewood. We see him go outside, and down at his feet in the snow is the necklace that Loki had given Thor when he was first captured. There's a lightning flash, and we see that the narrator was Loki the entire time, and that he finally found his place with his family. It ends as Loki is looking up towards the sky, looking for his brother Thor. So yeah, I really liked this story. I thought it had some really cool moments. I thought it was interesting the way that Thor's skin changed, almost like the hammer was corrupting him a little bit, maybe. I liked we got to see Mjolnir, and that it was abandoned. That's kind of sad, but I mean, we got to see it. That was cool. It was guest appearance, I guess. I liked how they ended the story and that Loki got a happy ending, which doesn't happen a lot, honestly. Loki usually doesn't get what he wants, but most of the time what he wants is pretty evil, so I guess that plays out pretty evenly. But yeah, it was a good story. Anyways, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. I'm fairly new to YouTube still, but I'm trying to get these videos out. Leave a comment if you have any comments, or if you have any requests or general questions. I'm happy to answer them, or even do requests for certain issues. So that was today's tale from the long box. I will catch you all next time.